My soundbox just downloaded.
Well, if I tuned into a podcast and it sounded like this, I wouldn't listen any further.
Yeah, but that's you. I wouldn't embark on a journey such as this one.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, that was some personal trash talk. But no, like, and does he do that?
Kidding?
I don't know. I don't keep him. He's got that whole C-section baby face, you know. It looks like a Matthew name.
Is that taken in genetics? Like every chromosome is like or a C-section.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like you can usually tell if someone has Down syndrome because of the slants in the eyes, or they're a C-section baby.
So if you have both, you're pretty much screwed.
Right. You can. I mean, it's right off the bat. You know, you see the person. Oh man, that person either has fetal alcohol syndrome, Down syndrome, or is a C-section baby.
Oh my god.
Like, think about it though.
I don't have to think that hard about that.
No, I mean it makes sense.
Yeah, you're completely right. It does make sense. Okay.
You browsing for a good sound clip to use?
Yeah, this soundboard's really let me down.
I don't know. I think that one was better than the other one.
It's a cow.
Wow, that was blaringly loud. Look at that. There's the cow compared to the rest of the thing.
There's a cat call. You use this to pick up girls. I don't know how
Where's
well
the
that
cat call?
cat call.
Oh, the cow you mean is the cat call?
No. Yeah, for cows.
Hey there, ladies.
Imagine doing that, just walking up to a girl.
If I could whistle like that, I sure would.
Right, but what if you just used your phone?
Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am, I find you attractive. Wait till I whip out my cat call app.
You put something,
Mr. See, now we're talking shit about specific people. We have to get rid of that. Or, you know, we can go.
Bleep it out.
Oh, yeah, we can talk bad about whoever we want, then go back and bleep out the names.
So if our class ends up watching this,
Yeah.
all of you have been talked bad about.
Yeah, every single. Let's go down the list. Do you have the class roster? Here. Well, you know what the worst thing is though? I downloaded this app the other day, and it is a whip. And you think like, you know, people talk about being whipped all the time. You know, like,
Right.
bro, you're so whipped. So you think like, oh man, you know, I can whip out my Pocket Whip app, and it'll like perfectly suit the scenario. But that was how long it took to pull up the Pocket Whip, and then my volume's off. Hold on. Yeah, and by that point, the discussion has moved on.
That's really disappointing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's an episode of The Office.
What is them trying to search through their phone for their Whip app?
No, but they pull it up at really quite convenient times. Pretty sure Jim does that. I don't wonder.
Probably. But here's the best part of it though, is it's got the Indiana Jones whip. So you. But then, if you have the money, you can get the stock whip, the longing whip, the Romal whip, the riding whip, signal whip, nine tails whip.
Whose job is this?
Chain whip.
To go through and
Flash
name
whip.
all of these.
Well, there's a laser whip too. I don't know. Well, who would sit down one day and is like, you know what the world? Oh, and it crashed. I like too many whips.
You didn't pay for that.
No. I could pay if I wanted to for the rest of the whips, but like someone sat down one day and was like, you know what this world needs?
Good whip sound.
A good whip app with multiple different whips and good animation too.
Why would you not make a soundboard? Why would you make an app that?
I don't know. Well, like, you know, the other fun one that I have, and this one actually works well. I mean, it's a lightsaber app. And the light flashes when you swing it. You see that? It lights up.
You still have that one?
Oh yeah, I use it all the time.
For what? What situation would you use a lightsaber?
I don't know. Hanging out in my room. I don't know. I'm in bed watching Netflix. I said, you know what the world needs is.
And Mickey comes
in. Yeah, and he finds me in bed with my phone playing lightsaber noises.
Okay, so what do we want this thing to be eventually?
Well, I figure, you know, so far we've gotten some good nuggets of discussion.
Right.
But, like, okay, I figure we have to go back and, like, leap out any information about people who could possibly hear this.
Right.
Because otherwise, it's just us talking shit about people publicly for like hours on end.
Well, I mean, it's a good thing, I think, because we get really stressed out by these people constantly.
So we have to rip on them every once in a while.
Yeah.
Well, and then what's also great, if they come back and listen to this, they know exactly who they are.
Yeah.
Because, like, if we say, what's his face dropped his backpack in the middle of the classroom and it ripped and went everywhere, and only one person's done that, they know, oh, wow, you guys are talking bad about me. Or, I hear what's his name has a really unstable family life. Like,
Yeah, but we can always plead a fifth.
that wasn't us, man. I don't even know what show. What podcast?
The one that's called Jack and Zach, and you guys told us to listen to it.
And then at the end, in the credits, you list yourself as Zachary Howard Miles.
And Jack Lemoyne Billy.
Lemoyne.
My favorite middle name.
Lemoyne.
Yep.
How do you spell that?
I'm not sure, but it's my grandfather's middle name. Gordon Lemoyne Howard.
I knew this Ecuadorian dude. His grandpa had the best name ever. His grandpa's name was Herbert Washington. This is a Hispanic dude.
Why is that the best name?
I don't know. I think it's great. Washington. Herbert Washington.
What's so appealing about that name?
What's so appealing about Lemoyne?
It's funny.
Herbert Washington. I think it's funny.
Lemoyne is like slightly ebonic. I don't know if that's the way you describe that.
I think that's politically incorrect.
I think so too. It's nice.
How do you say that correctly? It has some African American roots.
And it's right in between Gordon and Howard. So
Gordon Lemoyne Howard.
it's just kind of like an inside out Oreo. Honestly.
Okay. Is he like ethnic?
He's not ethnic. Why would I?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't really know what you mean by that.
I don't know. Like, I can't remember his name. I've talked with Caleb about it before.
You just name drop some more.
Yeah. But, it's this dude. That's his name. Shit.
Herbert Washington.
No, yeah, Lemoyne. Adrian Lemoyne Herbert Washington.
Okay.
And he's this dude, and he always comes. He's wearing sweatpants. He's this tubby little dude, got these glasses. But for whatever reason, he and everyone in the world recognizes him as like gangsta. I guess is like the word. I'm trying to think of the right word. Not gangsta, but just sort of like
Out there in a street way.
yeah, street. I guess that's the right way. Kind of thug, So like this dude, man, he always talking like this, and like if he's talking about an object, you go, man, give me that hoe, This dude, white little guy, curly Jufro looking hair, tubby little guy with the glasses and sweatpants, and that's how he talks, and it's accepted,
Right.
And like someone said something the other day, he goes, man, white people, like dude. Part of me thinks maybe he's like albino or something, but I know if you're albino, it'd be obvious. He's just.
And there you can't have any self-confidence, really, can you?
What, as an albino?
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know. I think like being albino would be cool.
Would you have a lot of confidence, though? Because you'd be very different.
I've been watching Mad Men. Did you ever watch that?
I watched parts of it.
There was this episode where the one of the guys that get married is the older dude, and they come to his wedding, and it goes to like the commercial break, so it fades out, and then when it fades back in, it's that dude at his or at the they're at a country club over the summer. It's like getting ready for his wedding, and he's sitting there wearing blackface and a straw hat and singing to his wife. So it was the most shocking thing ever to come into on a TV show was this old guy wearing blackface singing, and not in like a joking way. It was so weird.
I mean, I get the strange element of it, but I guess I'm just dumb.
How so?
Because I'm not educated enough.
To think that blackface is wrong.
Yeah.
Once you reach like a certain level of education, you start realizing that like racism isn't the way to go, but you haven't reached that yet.
I'm not even sure if I could just call it that. I just don't even know how that's racist, which is probably even worse.
Like, no, yeah. Have you seen Django Unchained?
No.
Oh, well that explains that. No, like they make the slaves fight, and it's called Mandingo fighting. I didn't realize it was real, but apparently it is.
I'm surprised that you teacher was knowledgeable about that.
Yeah, I guess she's interested in the whole underground man fighting subculture. I mean, she's from Oklahoma, so
Yeah, that's where I was born, and I'll have you know that we do that quite frequently.
yeah, you're Gordon Lemoyne Howard runs the underground Mandingo fighting ring.
He's won so many times that they've just decided it's not fair anymore.
He's recognized as the champion,
right?
And because of that, they just we're done.
He's won so many times they've moved him to a manager position.
And the Mandingo fighting underground of Oklahoma.
right. You've heard about Michael Vick by now?
Yeah. What, him abusing animals?
Yeah, why couldn't you wait till his career was over to do that?
Or just not do it at all.
I mean, there's that, but I mean, obviously he's gonna do it. He has some satisfaction.
From killing animals.
Right. Yes. So why didn't he just do it after he's like relevant?
Who knows? I mean, it's the same deal. Like, actually, well, like Michael Phelps. He got caught at that party smoking weed, and it was like a big scandal. I think he got suspended from like the Olympics or something. I don't know. I don't really keep up with Michael Phelps, but like, why not just wait until your career's over? If you're no longer relevant. Same deal.
Maybe it's just like one of those things. It's kind of like crack. He just had to get his fix in.
Just like beating up animals too. Like,
I don't know if the addiction is still.
My name is Michael Phelps, and I'm addicted to marijuana.
Right. So every athlete has their time in the sun, and I think if you ruin it while you're in the sun,
then it's embarrassing. Like afterwards, it's all good. Like Vince Young got a DUI the other day. No one cares.
Right. I mean, there's so many athletes that are like that. It's just like, couldn't you wait?
Just wait till you're, fired, fading into or they get called back into the spotlight. Like Charlie Sheen, for example. Who cared about Charlie Sheen until he had his big public meltdown? Like I can't think of a single person that regularly watches 2.5 Men. Their life revolved around Charlie Sheen. And then 2008 or whatever, 2010 I think it was. He has that public meltdown. And suddenly he's the #1 celebrity all over again. He's still relevant because of it. He does those Fiat commercials,
Yeah, and they're really creepy.
Yeah, it's like him walking around with his ankle bracelet on.
Yeah. And they're driving a Fiat around the house.
It's just weird. Like this, I mean, if I were a car company, I wouldn't want that associated with my brand,
Hey, well, we remembered it, so I guess they did.
I'm thinking about Fiat now.
I don't want to buy one, though. I hate their
No.
cars.
They're ugly little things.
They are really ugly, and I feel like I would die if I hit a bicycle.
Yeah. That's the car that I smashed into.
Is it really?
It was a Fiat. But I did more damage to myself in the bike than I did the car, but it still took a nice hit.
Where was that again?
Germany.
Okay. I remember that.
That was, driving down the street and I ran into that parked car.
Was that towards the end?
Yeah, that was within like a month of leaving. So my host family, when after I came home, was still dealing with the insurance fallout. They ended up getting reimbursed, of course, but it was, that was a thing.
I believe it.
Yeah. But then, they paid for the bicycle and for the car repairs, which was like 1,400 euros. It's 1,400 euros.
It's like 2,000. Or back.
It's probably 1,600 at the time. And then on top of that, you got the bicycle cost, which is a nice bike.
Totally wrecked.
Oh, it was destroyed. Yeah, the wheel. What would you call it? Not the tire, the actual wheel, like the metal part, was pushed in and everything, and like the frame was pushed backwards, so you couldn't turn the wheel anymore. The handlebar, I mean, and the chain. Yeah, it was bad.
Did you end up going to school that day? Or did you just turn around?
No, my host mom told me to lie down.
Stuck your tail between her
Yeah,
legs.
it's not like you see this scar. That's what that's from. Was when my chin slammed right into the hood of the car.
You don't want to tell stories like that.
Why not?
Because it's not like manly. I don't know.
Yeah, it was a really bad accident. Drove my bicycle into a parked car. It was pretty gnarly.
I mean, everybody says that, but I think it's a lot funnier whenever you tell the truth.
It's just a
Things
stupid
like that.
story.
Right.
Yeah.
So whenever I was in 6th grade,
Yeah.
I got it was my first concussion. I've had 2.
That was when Caleb dropped the books on your head?
No, it was actually stupider than that.
Oh, okay.
So Caleb did drop some books on my head, and I got a concussion. But Which is
Okay, let's hear the stupider one. I'm interested.
The stupider one in that was we were playing tag outside, and it was a special form of tag. It was around the block tag, so you could run around the block, and basically it was just like hide and go seek, but like killer.
Okay.
Right?
Because like you could run.
Right, you could run and hide, and
Yeah.
like hide in bushes, and then if somebody caught you, then you're pretty much screwed. And then it was always the slowest person is always it, and then they get tired and they leave. So what ended up happening was I was running away and I was taunting this kid who was pretty slow, and I was.
What do you mean
around,
taunting? Like yelling at him?
I was like, I don't remember what I was saying, but I turned around and I looked at him, and I have memory loss from this, and I turned around and I looked from him, and I hit a mailbox running, and apparently I was out cold for like a solid minute. And all of these kids that I was playing with were anywhere from 5th to 7th grade, so nobody had any idea what to do. And so apparently I got up, and I don't remember any of this. I don't remember, it's like just that period of time.
Yeah.
And the next thing I remember was I was in my, lazy boy in my living room, just with my face in my hands, and I didn't know where I was.
Jesus.
Yeah, and I had a pretty nice scar down the side, but...
Oh. It's healed by now?
Yeah.
How tall? You were 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
How did you
Actually, I might have been a little bit younger than that.
Okay, because I'm wondering how you were short enough to run into a mailbox with your head.
I was short enough, so I was kind of like, you know how the side of the street kind of slopes down? I was running like on the corner of that.
Okay.
And I had my head turned.
So you were, okay, yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah, and I was just out cold.
Just clobbered yourself on this mailbox.
I was out.
It's like, the other day, not the other day, a while back in forensics, the teacher was having to go around, we were doing blood testing, like testing what type of blood we had.
Right.
I can't remember what I have now. But at the time, it seemed important that I get mine tested. So we could either be in a group with someone who's getting theirs tested or get it tested ourselves, right? But we had it tested ourselves, we had to poke a hole in our finger. And I figured that it would be like, like one of those needles that used to get like blood out for insulin. Just a tiny little, and then it's done. Well, no, it was like a little triangle, like a little point at the end. It wasn't a needle, it was like a dagger, like a tiny little dagger, itty bitty. But the idea was you jab yourself with it. You're not poking through the skin, you're just popping a hole in it, And you take that and then you let it drip and you test it. So, with these different chemicals. So the teacher was going around, that was...
that didn't happen.
Yeah, the awkward foot touching just now. But the teacher's coming around poking everyone's finger, right? So she'd poke it and you pull your hand away and everything, and she'd come back and she'd poke it again because you pull your hand away. So she comes by and she pokes it once and I pull my hand away and it doesn't work. So she pokes it again, keep my hand there, it doesn't work. So at this point, I start laughing. I'm kind of embarrassed, Here, the teacher's having to hold my finger and stab at it. It's awkward. So I go to, swing my head down and put it in my other hand, like this, just like in shame. But I forget that I'm sitting in a chair next to a really tall lab counter. And I swing my head down to put it in my hand, and I just slam it right into the counter. So everyone thought that like I was having some sort of fit. Here's the teacher going to poke my hand, I just go, pow! So I'm completely out of it. I'm like, oh my god, I hope no one saw that. I'll just pretend like nothing happened. So she pokes the hole and everything, and I'm so out of it for the rest of the day because I had a horrible headache. But that was a thing. It was, yeah.
Well, it could have been good. You might have hit your head and then started bleeding from your head, and then you just take the blood from your head.
That would have worked. Or like, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we can go through and like figure out what we want to cut out. So like I'm thinking most of the blackface discussion, or at least the Mandingo fighting part, was very, very insensitive.
I think we should keep it in we should keep it in a private link for only certain people.
Right. We make it same with when you were talking about certain people in class.
We could keep this though, so that people know.
People know that we went back and we took out the parts where we badmouthed people and talked about racial issues in an inappropriate way.
So people know it happened.
It's out there somewhere, just not for you.
We'll put it in our private link.
Right. Everyone else who's listening to this can hear the podcast, the original, except for the person to whom it pertains.
Yeah, we'll make like specific links for each person.
For every individual, yeah. If your IP address is this, then take you to this, you know.
Make it as inconvenient as
So like
possible.
tomorrow, you know, you go around with like a piece of paper getting everyone in the schools like ID or IP address so you can. Yeah, you're not allowed to open this link, but you can open this link. You know. Welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, it has to have some like creepy coded computer message that we do for every single IP
The
address.
password is Eagle Crows at midnight.
For you.
Right.
The eagle crows at dawn for you.
Well, like you know, before you get to each page, it gives you like that FBI piracy warning. You know, like the ones you see when websites get taken down, like the piracy websites. You know, where it says this website has been seized by the Federal Bureau of Investigations.
That's usually the websites that I put up.
Yeah.
Yeah, half of them are taken down.
Yeah.
Mostly just because I record videos, TV shows on my phone.
And then you upload them. And like with your own commentary too.
Yeah.
Man, that scene was funny.
Really pisses me off because I thought my commentary was original.
Oh well, that was a good one. You know. I like that the laugh track is here, so I know when the jokes are.
No, you know? I like to watch shows without laugh tracks, and I just put laugh tracks in them.
That's my hobby. I'm a freelance laugh track recorder.
Yeah, and here's the catch: it's like, so I'm pretty cheap because all the laughs are from me.
Right, but what you've got to do is you've got to go back and record all these different laughs and then play them all at once. So you'll do like one laugh that's like ha ha ha, and another laugh's like ha ha ha. So all together it sounds like.
I bet that's been done before.
Probably. Well, you know, all those laughs they used were recorded in the 1950s. All this canned laughter, yeah, because the major like channels recorded it. So all these sitcoms, like you know, on Fox, NBC, ABC, CBS, stuff like that, all are from these sessions in the 50s. So most of the people you hear laughing on those sitcoms are dead.
Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that.
It's kind of dark. It's pretty dark.
Thank you for sharing that information.
Yeah. I'm never going to be able to feel the same way when I watch The Big Bang Theory anymore.
Oh, God, their laugh tracks annoy me.
Dude, okay, but have you seen the version without the laugh track?
No.
Someone went through it and they edited it to get rid of the laugh track, and you realize so many of those jokes aren't really funny, they're just weird.
They poke fun at, like, smart people. That's what they do. All they do is they make fun of people who are interested in, like, strange things.
Like
definition of a mainstream TV show.
Which is weird because then you've got this awkward cult. Okay, so, you know, you've got regular people who watch it, and then you've got this bizarre culture of people who, like, are, like, nerds and watch it. They're like, oh my god, I identify with the show so much. Like, what you don't realize is that show's making fun of you.
Yeah, it is. No, I completely agree. It is. Like, the people who like that show because it's like, oh, that's how
I am.
Act.
Yeah, well, you're like an autistic man who lives with his mother up until he gets a roommate and then, like, depends on your roommate like that. Like, it's just...
Well, I don't think they identify with the
well, but they want to, like, they identify with that dude's attitude.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Like, just a man-child. Man-child, that's the word.
I don't think anybody wants to be Sheldon, though.
No, well, I don't know, maybe. Like, I had this physics teacher in Germany, and he always talked about how he thought of himself as Sheldon from The Big Bang Theory. This dude thought he was just a genius. And, oh, God, obnoxious guy. I thought he was hilarious. Just stupid. What was his name?
Didn't get much better over here. Our physics teacher last year.
Well, we had this physics teacher, and she quit halfway through. Her husband got a high-paying job, so she just up and left. So...
that happened here.
Where?
That happened here last year.
No, that's what I'm talking about. That's this year,
yeah.
It was Miss Shaw, and now she's no longer. Now we have Mr. Vickers.
Oh, that's what happened with Miss Napton as well.
That's bizarre.
Right.
I guess physics teachers are just, like, cursed.
It's kind of like, which professor was it? Professor of the Dark Arts that... What were they called? In Harry Potter.
Defense Against the Dark Arts. They always quit, yeah.
Right. That's kind of like what our physics teachers are.
Here, you know what? I can go grab the book over there if you'd like to read it.
I don't think
You can read an excerpt, you can do an audiobook.
Start reading Harry Potter.
That can be the rest of the podcast for like however long we continue doing this thing into the future. You know,
it's already like half an hour. You should probably
and
start listening to it.
Well, most of it's shit.
Yeah. All of it wasn't that bad.
No. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. We do a few more minutes of recording, but we find a topic to discuss. So we go through and we listen to this and we find out, oh my god, this is not cohesive at all.
Right.
Then we can go back and do...
Because parts of it are.
Oh, absolutely. It's got some gold.
Right. I think the part where we talked about the classmates, like, but we can't talk about it. That was the best part.
Yeah. And now we're going back and commenting on how great our podcast was.
We gotta delete those, but
let's think of a discussion topic.
Okay, I really want to talk about how big we want this thing to get.
The podcast?
Right.
Well, here's what I'm thinking. It's 2020. New presidential election.
Okay.
People aren't walking around with their, campaign buttons anymore.
Yeah.
The election is irrelevant. Because at this point in time, the only thing people give half a shit about is this podcast.
So...
World domination.
Wow. You just went completely above what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
I was just wanting to get a Medal of Honor, honestly.
I just want recognition from the president.
Right.
Not to be the president, but like...
And like maybe somebody in Afghanistan was listening to our podcast and...
When they like saved a bunch of lives.
Right.
And like our voices talking inspired him to keep living.
Right.
Like shooting at the enemy because he wanted to be able to survive long enough to hear the rest of the podcast.
So somehow our words just triggered a response in that soldier.
Like some sort of primal rage.
Right. And they didn't give any credit to him.
No, it was
just by complete chance.
Mm-hmm.
We're just...
we're
warning.
Yeah. Fly into the mainstream. But, okay, we need a name.
We do need a name. I don't know. What, like...
Well, we do shoot the shit. Like, I'm not comfortable talking with my parents about my podcast. Shoot the shit with Zach and Jack.
I agree. We'd be the garbage man.
The garbage man.
I don't know why you thought about that.
I mean, you suggested it.
The short bus.
The short bus. Ooh.
You're not seriously considering that.
That's a good one, though.
How is that a good one?
Everyone knows what the short bus means.
Right.
That's the appeal. People look at us and think, oh, man.
I know what that means.
These guys are retarded, Like Christ. That was distasteful.
You read your poem earlier.
That is true, but that's different.
No, it's not.
Well, I've realized more and more. Like, retarded was a word that was acceptable in 5th grade,
Right.
Like middle school. And now when you say retarded, people just think you're an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true, but I think that's just because as we get older, people become more and more sensitive. Everybody just has to complain about something.
Yeah. Like that entire, like, feminism thing, Or like equal marriage.
Yeah, this thing is going global.
Who are these two assholes?
I'm gonna be infamous.
It's the shock value now, not the quality of the...
Not going for quality anymore.
No.
We're just going for what's the...
We're the Donald Trump of the podcast world, We're gonna build a wall.
I think we do need to... I don't really know what I feel about the election.
Is it political now?
I don't want to vote. Well, it's just every time Donald Trump gets brought into conversation, I just get a little bit nervous inside.
Well, here's, I saw this thing on Facebook, and I think it's pretty much true. It's 2016. He can't really win the election, can he? 2017. He can't really do that, can he?
Yeah.
Ugh.
It's true.
Yeah.
And then we're at war. That's just what's going to happen. Maybe.
Which, there's a fair amount of people that theorize that, like, he was paid off by Hillary to go and pretend to be, like, a super conservative candidate and, push people over to the left. And now he's actually doing really well,
Doesn't make any sense.
No.
Like, I think we'll have to wait till the general election polls come out, though, because I'm thinking that he's going to get trashed by it or something like that. Because they're not crazy.
Well, like, you remember back in October we were talking about this, and you're talking about how there's no way he could win. You know, he's just too far right. Well,
I didn't think so. I don't think anybody.
I agreed with you. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I mean, I do think we have to wait till the general election happens. So.
But now that he's got a fighting chance, you know, he's at least winning with the Republicans.
Yeah. Man, I mean, if people are listening to this right now, what is it, March now? March 2016? So
March 3rd, yeah.
What time? When does general election happen? That's November, right?
Yep. So 9 months from now, 8 months from now, if Donald Trump has won, I will eat my hat. I'll eat a shoe.
You'll eat a shoe?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going to be global by then. So.
Yeah, so people, hold me to it.
Actually, no, because we said 2020, so by then we'll probably have taken over
We'll have a
North
serious...
America.
Yeah. At the very least, the, southern half of the U.S.
Right, and then we're making enough profit to give radios or whatever, computers to Africa.
Right, feed the third world.
Right. But, we're just feeding them with, this podcast.
Well, here, we didn't come up with a name. Let's come up with a name real quick, and then we'll go back, listen to it, edit out bad shit.
Okay, so name.
Name-wise. We also didn't use any sound effects. I feel like just throw a couple of those in here right now. Just whip out the soundboard and just do a couple of noises.
I just feel like that's tacky.
Yeah, so do I, but that's sort of like...
That's not the appeal.
I was about to say that's the appeal, but...
Maybe the spooner.
Boomer Spooner. Sweat Lodge.
Sweat Lodge.
Into the Sweat Lodge. Enter the Sweat Lodge.
Okay, but we'd have to explain that.
That is true.
The lodgers.
The Lodgers. Sweat time.
Sweat time with the lodgers.
Sweat living. Sweat living.
Sweat living with the lodgers. Okay, that just rolls off the tongue. That's what we're gonna do. We have to be the lodgers.
Okay. So we're the lodgers, and this is Sweat living.
I thought it was gonna be we're sweat living with the lodgers.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so we're the lodgers. And
well, do we want to be the lodgers? Because Zach and Jack also rolls off the tongue.
Zach and Jack.
Well, I think blank and blank with Zach and Jack sounds cool. Like if we have a word and then with Zach and Jack.
Cock and balls.
Cock and balls, exactly. Maybe not that.
I don't know why that just seems that rolls off the tongue for me.
Well, absolutely. But for me it more rolls into the tongue,
And Gag Reflex.
Right.
Zach and Jack.
Oh yes. That's it. Gag Reflex with Zach and Jack. Well, this has been Gag Reflex with Zach and Jack.
Okay.
But